Dzień dobry, cześć. Today we got a story about Poland here, a continuation of a story that I've covered, two stories actually. But before we get into that, I want to say that I've been trying to learn other languages. So I started learning some Russian, German, and French. And I tried learning a little bit of Polish too, but it seems to be a really, really overly complex language. And even sometimes, like the words will just look like you kind of smashed your keyboard, and it's kind of hard to know when to use the letter that has the little tail at the bottom of it. So I'm not sure if it's worth learning, but I find that German so far seems to be the easiest. English is a Germanic language, so they share a lot of words. A lot of words, coffee, tea, milk, all beer, wine. Like these are all very similar, but also some of the structural words, like und, is and is ist. So it seems to be the easiest so far. But because of that, I don't know if Polish is worth learning. I don't know if it's worth spending time on. I'm not sure. But it says Poland gets formal EU demand to pay fines over judicial regime. So what's going on is there's two issues going on right now between the EU and Poland. So what Poland has done is they have like these LGBT free zones. I don't know that they're like actual. My understanding is they don't actually enforce anything or anything like that. It's more of a symbolic thing, but still, regardless, it doesn't matter. It's still wrong. But they're very homophobic in Poland. Very, I don't want to say racist necessarily. Definitely xenophobic for sure. Especially among certain people. Now, younger people in Poland and like Western Poland, I think, are going to be more open-minded. They're not going to be as anti-gay, or maybe a lot of them won't be anti-gay, period. But, older people in Poland. And so this is the interesting situation with Poland, right? Poland was, kind of on the brink of barely existing. Even around like prior to World War I and all of that stuff. Obviously, they have a long history, but their recent history has not been very good. And even after World War II, they were a Russian puppet state. Poland is a very big country, by the way. They're almost the size of Germany, I think. So they're a big country. So it's crazy. They were a Soviet puppet state. And that obviously is not going to go well. Being a Soviet puppet state is not going to be very good. And so, they wanted to be more westernized, more capitalist, and that's what they are now. But now they're struggling with, they're very Catholic in Poland. I know that like some crazy percent of like the pedophiles in Poland are priests. So, I don't know how much you want to be Catholic, but they're heavily Catholic in Poland, very religious. And so they still have like that, Eastern European, and I know some Polish people are going to say Central Europe, but that Eastern European mindset of being very, I would say Eastern Europeans probably seem to be less racist, at least against like black people. I don't know necessarily about against maybe Middle Easterners. But definitely, I think that I would say they're less racist towards black people than Americans are and Westerners are. But, they have that, homophobic and that kind of stuff due to religious stuff. So they're kind of at a crossroads where they're trying to be more westernized, but at the same time kind of maintain that. And so the right-wing party, the Law and Justice Party, is kind of a weird mix, I guess, of like economical, more like left-wing kind of ideas to an extent, but then trying to be conservative in terms of social issues. So there's that issue, and then there's also the issue where they're saying the EU is saying that they're meddling in the court system in Poland. And so Poland has basically determined that their national law supersedes EU law, which is just not true. I mean, you signed the contract to join the EU. Obviously, you have to abide by the rules of the contract that you entered. And by the way, Poland would be nothing right now without the EU's money. And more stuff like freedom of movement of labor and all that stuff, freedom of movement in general. It says the European Commission has sent Poland notice to pay some 70 million euros in fines for failing to reverse an illegal disciplinary regime for judges. A spokesman said an escalation in a row between Warsaw and the European Union. The case is one of many disputes between the EU and Poland's ruling Law and Justice Party, which came to power in 2015 and has since faced accusations of eroding democratic freedoms. Last October, the top EU court fined Warsaw for failing to immediately halt the work of the Polish Supreme Court's disciplinary chamber pending a final verdict on the scheme. Poland has said it will not pay the fine and has criticized the commission's actions. So they're saying that they're just straight up not going to pay it. They're also apparently missing out on even more money that was supposed to come from the EU for economic recovery for the COVID-19 pandemic. So with the gay situation going on, anti-gay situation, plus what they're doing with the judges in Poland, they're really being harmed here and losing a bunch of funding and money that could economically benefit Poland. And so, are they going to give in? Some of the anti-LGBT zones already came down in response to the money threat. So some of them already have fallen. But, will it continue will they, kind of give in to what's going on? I'm not really sure. And again, they find themselves in a weird position. The Polish people are radically pro-European Union, but they're also kind of resisting like more full westernization. And a lot of these Eastern European countries that I've been seeing have been mixed, countries like Hungary and stuff like that, who clearly don't like Russia, but they're also hesitant to go like more westernized, like fully westernized. So these countries find themselves in a weird position where they're part of the EU. They're like, fuck Russia. We don't want to be a puppet state of that garbage country. So it's just like, obviously, that's what they're thinking. And so, what's going to happen? I'm not really sure. It really depends on what Polish people do, why Polish people are voting for the PIS. I'm not really sure. I think it's like older people who are voting for them. So what's going to happen? Your boy does not really know.